Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
All right. Welcome to the April meeting of the Healthy Neighborhood Advisory Committee. We call it to order at 5:34 p.m. on April 30th. We have some new members, so welcome to Alder Donald Dantzler, and welcome to Emmanuel, I don't remember your last name. Munoz. Amazing. We are so glad to have our new members. So, call to order. Approval of minutes, agenda item number 2. Did anyone have discussion on the agenda from the agenda packet? No. All in favor of no, I need a motion. Can I have a motion, please?
I would motion approval.
Second.
Amazing. Moved by Sharif and seconded by Mark. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Unanimously passed. Thank you so much for those meeting minutes. Public appearances for non-agenda items. I don't see anyone in chambers and nobody online. So item number 4 is agenda review, at which point I am turning it over to my co-chair, Sharif. So thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Okay, let's proceed to agenda review. We can take a look at agenda 5A, or we'll be working on 5A, 5B, and 5C. Let's see here. So, introduction of new members. I think we already did that. I would give the floor to our new members to introduce themselves. Donald, you may.
Thank you all for having me. I look forward to serving on this committee and working with you all and being able to be the council representative and keep our healthy neighborhoods a priority in the city of Fitchburg. And just, again, looking forward to serving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Sir Emmanuel?
Hey, my name is Emmanuel Munoz. The mayor asked me if I would like to kind of step into this one, and north of McKee's kind of a passion play for me. I know a lot of people that live up there, and so I work at the State of Wisconsin Investment Board. I'm in investment finance over there. Originally from South Florida, but grew up and went to school in Georgia. Moved up here in 2020. Son of 2 immigrants, Colombian and Venezuelan. And I've made Fitchburg my home. Ever since I lived up in Dane County, I've been in Fitchburg. And I'm currently with Ari in Community Equity Committee. I haven't been there in 2 meetings because I've been in the South this month, spending time with some family. But and then I serve with the Friends of the Fitchburg Library. Making a lot of advancements there, but very happy to be serving with some familiar faces like Donald and Ari, and looking forward to meeting the rest of you. And let's get to work.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you guys very much for your time and your commitment to the city of Fitchburg. We will move forward to item number 5B, selection of committee chair and vice chair. How do we roll this out?
Deanna, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys will you'll nominate and then you will make a motion and pass whoever you would like to have as the chair and the vice chair.
I can just clarify. We did this really simply last time. I think we just kind of self-nominated, and we can stick with the same chair and vice chair. That's fine. With the new members on the committee and it being an odd year, we like to just go through that process again. So there's no reason why you all couldn't nominate and select the same chair and vice chair. But what we did last time is we just nominated and just kind of approved by acclamation. Is what we did last time.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that reminder. In that case, we may resume with the selection of a committee chair. If there are any volunteers or nominees at this point in time.
I can volunteer. That's Ari.
And to clarify, Ari is currently our committee chair at the moment.
I move that we approve the slate of chair and vice chair as the previous year that we've had. So having those individuals stay in succession.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. We are choosing to retain the current committee chair and vice chair. Anyone in support, please notify by saying aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Nay, by notifying nay. None? All right, with that being, we are now anointing the same chair and vice chair as previous term. In that case, we will be proceeding to agenda item number 5C, Resolution R7425, to approve the 2025 Fitchburg Award for the Healthy Neighborhood Grant Program. Looks like we have our spreadsheet here, and this spreadsheet pretty much displays the organizations that applied for the funds, the amount requested, the total average scoring, the recommendation number. I think I would need some clarification on this shortly. An average score, the staff recommendation total, as well as the total amount requested and the total staff recommendation. I would like to open the floor for Jessica to further clarify this Excel sheet for us. Thank you.
Yes, so the spreadsheet is showing for the recommended column, that is when the individuals who scored the applications at the end, you were asked, do you recommend funding for this project? And you said either yes or no. So that's showing out of the amount of people who responded to the scoring document, like if there was only 5 responses, they have a 5 for 5, then everyone recommended funding. 6 for 6 just means that they had an extra person score. And then the Bayesian adjusted score here, there's a formula down there where you can, if you are looking to understand the math, but it's essentially a weighted score for those organizations where 6 people didn't score and 5 did, to make sure that it was weighted so when they were placed in ranking, that was taken into consideration.
Thank you. One more clarification. What is that total average, the one right after the amount requested?
So the total average is, I took here we can go to this sheet here. So I took all of these scores and averaged them together to get the total average, and then you see that here. So it's just all of the responses to the questions were averaged to get their final score, and then it was adjusted for the weights.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification. If you may return to that score and ranking, just so we can get the new members familiar with the with the top ranking questions, we can't get those cells as legible.
I can open them up if you want to see all the questions.
Just a quick snapshot would be great. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, you can use the Alt-HOI formula after they're all highlighted to auto-adjust to show what's in those cells. But yeah, I think that's a good idea because I was going to ask kind of how are they rated, or what were the questions that were kind of like, and what was the scale from 0 to what? It looks like maybe from 0 to 5.
0 to 4.
0 to 4?
Yeah.
But I think some clarifying information, like what he said, would be good for kind of the new members. And maybe for people that are watching this for the first time.
Absolutely.
And then you can use Alt-HOI, and that'll automatically open them up.
Splendid.
Actually, we'll keep it zoomed in here so you can read.
So how well does the proposal, D1 says, how well does the proposal describe in specific detail purpose activities and personnel roles? E1, how well does the proposal present in specific detail a funding plan and budget? How well does the proposal provide a thorough and complete response, clearly outlining the project's goal, implementation plan, budget, and anticipated outcome? How well does the proposal clearly define the specific community need or problem it aims to address? How urgent or significant is this issue within the community? Does the proposal outline sustainable outcomes? Does the proposal have effective and meaningful outcome measurements and indicators? How well does the project align with the priorities of the grant program? How well does the proposal encourage community engagement? How well does the proposal demonstrate effective coordination and collaboration with relevant partners, organizations, or stakeholders to enhance project impact and efficiency? How well does the proposal introduce innovative approaches, strategies, or solutions to address the identified community needs? And then the match amount. Oh, wait, no. Match amount and proportion to amount requested. Okay, so are there match amounts? How well does the proposal demonstrate community support for the project? And then do you recommend the funding? If you recommend, then how much?
Thank you very much, Ari, for that clarification and readout. We may return back to the recommendation chart. Are there any questions, discussion at this point with regards to the chart as it currently is presented? The floor is open.
I just have two questions. First question, I'm assuming that the nonprofits were not giving kind of like the criteria in which you all have taken a look at in the past. And my second question is, for the amount that we've gifted, is there a certain allotment that we get from the city that we have up to spend, or is it just kind of like a year-by-year basis, and who comes to us with what they're requesting and how much we give, or is it more case-by-case, or do we have a certain allotment that we're to give?
I'm going to start with the second question and then ask for the first one again. So the second question, you're asking how much money the city has for funding, and it's roughly $145,500. And then the first question, can you please repeat that for me?
Yeah, so what we scored them on, what was shown on the scores ranked, all the questions in which the council has scored them, were the nonprofits given that beforehand, or were they just kind of given like a guideline and kind of came to us afterwards? Just for clarification.
They were given the scoring sheet, so they could see how the committee was scoring them, and then they also had their application documents. So they applied and wrote some essays, and then explained their proposal and their budget, and then they can also see how they're being scored.
Okay. Just wondering for clarification on the process. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Would it be possible to either share this spreadsheet with the committee members, or I'm curious to understand more about the organizations who were not funded, just if there was like a reason, or basically I'm curious about the comments.
I can definitely share this with the committee. In terms of organizations that weren't chosen for funding, essentially, staff decided that we were going to cut off at 10,000, and so we were going to give organizations 10,000 was the smallest amount, and then so we kind of staff worked their way down. So fully funded the top 3, and then dispersed funds from there. But I can definitely share the spreadsheet if you want to see comments.
I've got one more. And I guess I'm just wondering how to ask this, but historically, have we been giving to the same organizations that, I guess my screen went out. I don't know if everybody else.
No, that's my screen.
Oh.
It fell asleep.
That's fine. So historically, have we taken it into account into scoring if historically we've been giving to the same organizations? I'm just trying to think of like if new nonprofits come to the scene that are, creating great programs too, if that's kind of taken into account, or I don't know if maybe we're thinking about doing that in the future. I'm just trying to, does that make sense?
I think some of these organizations we have given funding to in the past. Some of them are new, but in the scoring and the committee scoring, there's not a specific question related to if the organization is new in scoring in that sense.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I think that Ari had identified the ones that had gotten something the year before as we were beginning to look at this. Didn't you, Ari?
Yes, she sends out a spreadsheet that captures that.
So we do have that.
So we had that prior to actually voting, scoring the following applications. In addition to that, there are still some questions on the scoring that kind of draws into innovation approach for new NGOs or nonprofits. In addition to that, it also kind of draws into the purpose fit based on their application as well. So that's why I had those questions read out loud, just to see if we can get a better understanding of, how majority of this is scored. The one question that I personally have is the staff recommendation. I'm curious as to, I see looks like that's scaled based on their justice score, and that's ranked in order, and the distribution of the funds are going top 3 fully funded, and then how are the rest distributed? Does the staff recommended amount in the scored ranking plays a factor in that column?
Yes. So the reason that Active Youth Wisconsin is getting more than those the prior ones who are ranked a little bit higher is only because they had an additional person score. But the committee's welcome to change these numbers around. These are not set in stone. It's just staff recommended these as a starting point.
I was thinking about how to articulate it. I mean, I think when I look at these numbers, I feel fairly good about it. I do, there were a couple nonprofits who I think serve very unique needs in the community and would like to see them fully funded. Thinking specifically about Unidos, and I'm glad that there's $10,000 towards them, and am curious just about more conversation if other folks possibly agree with potentially adjusting some of the amounts on here.
Which one were you referring to?
So Unidos is there, and
okay.
That's on item number, cell number 11A or A11.
Got it. Okay.
So that was just one organization that came to mind to me as kind of uniquely addressing needs that no other organization is addressing. So again, it's just kind of an example. I think if other folks are kind of curious about playing with the numbers a little bit, I would be interested in doing that. And I feel like I can kind of accept, I think at this point, the breakdown as it is.
A comment. So those ones before active youth, Leopold PFO, they were requesting 10,000, so they'll be fully funded as well. And then Boys and Girls Club, the rationale a little bit more behind this is it's a larger organization than active youth, so they have access to more funds than active youth does, and so we placed that 4,000 under active youth. But again, the committee's welcome to change that.
You know, I think as you look at this, I try to look at these and say, which one's new, which one has a lot of other funding. And I think this committee also spent a significant amount of time talking about the food desert. And so I looked at the food banks as they're going to have those needs year after year after year. And what we can do to help that, that's what we keep hearing about. So I kind of ranked it that way. I'm okay with trying to give as many as we can. If we don't give everybody everything they asked for, seeing as some of those, like the one you raised about Unidos, or do they have any other source of funding? And what percent was that of their request or of their budget? Because Boys and Girls Club, Michael Johnson's got a huge budget. And even though they have needs, he's got a larger budget. And a couple on there had the same thing. Some were getting money from United Way, too. So, like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, I think. So I look at that, if we can serve all these. And I think over the course of the year, Jessica and Deanna, haven't folks dropped out? We had one or two drop out last year, right? So if somebody drops out, can we reserve the right as a committee to give those funds to somebody else? I don't know if we can, but I just now thought about that. So, yeah.
So in our normal cycle, in the grant cycle, those funds are not released until after the reporting at the end of the year. So it's not really possible in our normal process, unless I should qualify that, unless one of the agencies that you choose to fund just decide early on, like within the next month, that they're not going to take the funds, then we could come back to you all and with a resolution, and that would be approved and then go to council for funding.
Personally, I'm comfortable with whatever the group wants to do with this, with what's up there. And if we change things, that's okay by me. If we don't change anything, that's okay by me. Because the ones at the end, albeit I have a bias about biking, it really wasn't a healthy neighborhoods function, but it is something this city darn well needs. And we need to find a way to fund it because it's not going to be city funded. So, you know, again, they asked, I think they're learning a process they're trying to fundraise. But I don't know, whatever, you know, you raised a very good point about if some need some more. Like I said, I'm flexible.
Yeah, no, I think I'd like to agree. I think we can, what's interesting about this is that we can put down an extra metric, an extra column in kind of these tables that says like need, like if they request 15,000, but we see their budget yearly is like $1 million or like 150,000, let's make it easy, then we're 10% of their need, but we can, so, and that number would skew a lot lower for a lot of higher or more established 503Bs or just nonprofits, NGOs. But if, like, let's say Unidos Against Domestic Violence, they have a very kind of like unique help that they give to the community that's very influential and very powerful. Let's say that their budget's $100,000. So our donation of $15,000 would go an extra long way for a small or an NGO like that, if that makes sense. So I think that can maybe be, but I'm new, so I'm okay to go the way that the board wants to go, but just something I think that we can look at in the future.
All right. Do you have any comments?
I'm abstaining from all discussion here because I volunteer with the Leopold PFO.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other discussion at this point? I think right now the only conversation that stands is adjusting the staff recommendation or setting it as is. I think we should motion on that first, and then based on the results of that, we can discuss further. What do you guys think?
Everybody looking at me to make the motions.
No, it's up to you if you want to change funding or keep it as is. Like I said, the staff just brought these as a starting point, so it's totally up to you guys.
I think it would be beneficial just to have another opportunity for us to look at these and then be able to make some recommendations or decide upon if we kind of agree with the staff recommendations would be my personal opinion. And it could come back that we do agree with them, but just to have a little more time to check it out, especially like Emmanuel said, being new and being for the first time being immersed in this work.
Okay, I'll ask a question process-wise. We have 2 new members today. I'm assuming they haven't had the opportunity to look over the grants. Was the intention to bring them into the decision-making process and share the grant information so that they can be a part of the decision-making process, or was the idea that that would not happen? I guess that's my question.
That's a great question. So on the agenda, the materials are available for the grant application. So all those applications are available to members, but the intent is that for the committee members who scored to make the decision on funding. Obviously, new members are welcome in the discussion, but with this going to council relatively soon and us wanting to get the funds out to the organizations, it's staff recommends making the recommendation tonight.
I will just say that these funds need to be expended by the end of this year. And so the sooner that we let the nonprofits and our applicants know whether or not they have the funds available is to their advantage. Certainly, we could delay a month, but that's it's hindering their programs, especially their summer programs. Many of the organizations here have summer programs.
Thank you for that question and clarification, Deanna, as well. So in that sense, I retract my previous statement. And if they need to be dispersed, then we can go ahead and do that and then just be involved in the process here forward, considering we are new members to the committee and don't want to stop the flow, especially of the funds that these organizations need to complete their programming and things like that.
Yeah, cognizant of what was just said, I think I will abstain as well, just to kind of follow the momentum that the committee's already putting forward. So, thanks.
Thank you guys very much. In addition, as Jessica mentioned, the materials are currently available and will be made available to you guys for further review, just to get familiar with the process and as well as the recommendations. Do we have any motion on the floor yet, based on my previous suggestion? And that would be we either vote to readjust the recommendation amount or we keep them as is.
Well, in the spirit of getting some discussion going on, I'll make a motion that we take staff's recommendations. I'm looking up here at the recommendeds from our committee, and we're pretty consistent about how we recommend it to get funded. And I guess I'm looking at the fact that if we can give as much as we can to folks to meet the mission, then give everybody the whole thing they asked for and stop at just maybe say 6 because everybody asked for 15K. So I'll put the motion on the table. If you don't want to accept staff recommendations, that's okay too. So
can I say one last thing? Can I ask for your name at the end? Sorry about that. Yes.
My name is Caitlin.
Yeah, Caitlin. She said a great point about Unidos. I see we have a surplus of about $1,500, 60, because I thought we were allotted 145,500. So seeing as she brought up Unidos and their unique influence having the community, could we shore up that surplus into Unidos, giving them the extra amount that we have? Could that be just a tiny adjustment that we make and then vote on approval? Or is that completely alien?
You could make that as a friendly amendment, but I think we have to vote on the first, right at the end of the thing on the floor first, right? Or second it.
Yeah, I think we
There's
do
a
have a
Robert's Rules of
motion
Order
on the
book down.
floor. Yeah, we do have a motion on the floor, so if no one seconds it, it dies.
And can you please rephrase that motion for clarity?
I am making a motion that, given the discussion so far, knowing there's some differences of opinion, that we accept staff's recommendations as they're written and as we've ranked them as a committee. And then if there's extra money, it can come back at a second as a friendly amendment. So I'll put it out there if you want to second. If you don't, it's okay.
I'll second so that we can have discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like we have a motion, and the floor is open for discussions and questions.
Yeah, I'm still reading up on my Robert's rules, but may I make a friendly amendment to shore up our surplus to add to Unidos Against Domestic Violence to get them closer to their ask?
There's already a motion on the floor and it's been seconded, so you can't amend it unless this current motion is voted down.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And then you can make your amendment and then it comes back again.
Okay.
The one thing I would like to point out is the fact that we do not necessarily have to disperse all of the funds, right? Because we did have some rollover from last year that's benefiting us to have more access to more funds this year, and it's creating more opportunities for more nonprofit to be able to access additional funds. I don't think we have to go down to the zero number for the year just because that's what's allocated. In addition to that, I do believe that the scoring itself as is does follow a logical sense based on the recommendation. And I'm leaning towards staying with staff recommendation just for clear visibility and transparency in how we've voted and we've ranked based on the application, the information provided, the budget numbers and the financial numbers as well. And that's just my 1-2 piece on that.
I don't know if this can be discussed right now. Are we able to get clarification if there is a surplus?
Yeah, so there is 145 and roughly, I think it's like 532. So there's a little bit more funding available. But like Sharif said, if that funding's not used here, we can roll it over to next year. With it being such a small amount, we didn't want to fund anyone further, and we just kept the numbers pretty even. So it can go to another organization, or it can be rolled over to next year.
Can you clarify the exact amount of surplus? I think that was 600 something that you were just saying, or what?
Let me run it through the calculator here real quick. It's $1,647.
Any additional conversations needed, or shall we vote on the motion at floor?
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question. How many of those who voted, who rated the grant applications, how many of those people are present this evening?
The voted, the ranked them, read them, reviewed them. Yeah.
Do you want me to?
So who are the other? Who's the six? Is Alder Allen, who's gone? Who else is missing?
Deanna and I also scored.
Okay.
Shall we call a vote?
Certainly can call the vote, and if it gets turned down, then we can take another motion then.
Sounds like a plan. In that case, I am calling a vote to the motion on floor. Anyone in support, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's 2. Anyone opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Yeah, nay here as well.
Let the record
I
show
abstain.
we have 2 ayes, 2 nay, and 1 abstaining.
Do I have to make a motion okay.
In that case, is there another motion on the floor?
Oh, and just for the record, I abstained as well, given the fact that Emmanuel I kind of just came in and didn't have an opportunity to review this, so we're going to vote on the motion.
Thank you for that clarification, Donald.
Okay, so I would move to continue the discussion. Is that the motion that's needed right now?
No, you would need to make a motion that we would discuss.
Yeah, I move to discuss. No. Oh.
No, you have to say something very specific that then we can discuss about.
I would move
Is
to.
that Kate that's talking? I can't hear everybody, but I was going to say if that was it, you would just make a motion to say like we postpone it to like a specific date where people will have an opportunity to like provide more feedback and then vote on it again, or like just say you want to continue the discussion here this evening.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would like to make a motion to continue the discussion. I am wanting to consider full funding of the Unidos grant. And again, I'm not sure how much. In this motion, do I need to articulate where that funding comes from?
Well, my first question is, Emmanuel, are you abstaining or are you?
I think, sorry, Donald, is that you're kind of setting precedent, and I don't want to be too turbulent, especially on my first day on the council. But I do know Unidos. The company that I worked for in the past has worked them closely, and I know that they can definitely use the money, especially with the cause that they serve. So that's why I have a little bit of an inclination towards following the discussion on fully funding Unidos. If that makes sense.
Oh, you're not being turbulent to me. I mean, you're on the commission just like anyone else, and you don't have to follow me. I don't have any necessarily background about this as you do, so that's why I abstained as to make it more of a fair process, given that individuals spent their time reviewing these documents and came to a concluded decision based on the score and the things that they read. If you feel comfortable enough to do that, you don't have to follow my lead.
No, you just made a good point there. But yeah, saying that I know, so that's why I'm kind of playing the hand a little bit. But so I won't be abstaining, sorry.
So a clarifying point here as I look at this, there's a $5,000 gap that you're raising. And we've got another K sitting there that they didn't fund. So we're dealing with $4,000 out of 143 we have to give. So I think we need to decide if we're going to do all this. I mean, this committee, Donald, just an FYI for you, man, we reviewed 19 applications. It took a lot of time. And I think you've got the rankings up there, right or wrong. We saw what we heard when they all came in, but one that showed up, right? And we sat here for 4 hours. And then and I think they pretty much ranked out, as I looked at them, kind of the way I saw them. But if you feel very strongly that should get that extra amount of money and you do, then we need to say, okay, who doesn't get it? And I think we need to help staff as a committee say who doesn't get it. So are we going to pull all 19 of these up and look at them again? I'm being hypothetical. Or are we going to say that, for example, the food pantry doesn't get the $15K they're asking for? That's an example. Is that the way we're going to do this so it's fair? I mean, we need to get some decisions so city can give the money to these organizations. And we're going to have to decide. It's a $4,000 bullet that I'm thinking we're looking at. So what else up there doesn't get what's recommended? Don't all jump in at once.
Well, and I think from my understanding, as I'm learning the process, there's 5 of the 6 who rated the grants who are present, but 2, I think, are not weighing in on this decision. Is that correct? So Jessica and Deanna are not.
Right. It's the committee. So I can give you a little background. In the past, prior to me, staff always did the ranking and then brought it to the committee. And so what happened this year was we had so few actually completing the review. It was only Mark, Sharif, and Caitlin. I was worried, staff was worried that it was going to be kind of difficult to, and maybe it wasn't going to have a broad enough sense of the review. So we stepped in to also do the review as it's been done in the past. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, as Jessica has said multiple times, it's the committee's decision ultimately how they want to fund, and what is up there in the spreadsheet is a starting point to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I think my memory from last year was that there was a little bit more of a robust conversation at this point in the process, and so I think that's healthy. I think, as we're scoring these on our own, it can be really challenging, and so I had a little bit of a feeling and looking at these that I again feel comfortable and would have liked to have seen full funding for Unidos. But since there are not very many of us who are able to weigh in and really have that conversation, then I can support just moving forward with the recommendations. Just kind of filling things out based on where we're at this year with our committee. So unless there's someone else who ranked the grant applications who is maybe feeling similar, then I think we can move forward with just approving the recommendations.
Does that sound like a motion?
It's not a motion from me yet.
Well, the floor still waits for a motion at this moment.
I guess if there is no further discussion, and with the understanding of the time and effort that went into scoring these and getting to the point that we are today, we approve the slate that was brought before the group today.
Thank you very much, Donald, for that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Anyone in support, please vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please vote by saying nay. Any abstinence?
Ari abstains.
And Donald, for the record. In that case, we have 3 ayes, no nays, and 2 abstentions. Looks like we have our motion passed. Thank you very much to everyone for the amazing discussion. We will hence move forward to agenda number 6, which is reports from the department.
All I really have is the hub is still slated to be wrapped up by the end of summer. So that's exciting. And then these recommendations will go to council. Council will change them if they like, and then we will get them out to the organizations so they can start doing what they have proposed to us. That's all I've got.
So no updates on the Southdale Park yet?
I do not have any updates on the Southdale Park, but I can talk to Scott and see if he's got anything and get back to you.
We were discussing the proposals that Ari just sent, so thank you for sending those. Can you go back and say what you just said about the hub and what's going on up there?
About it, the hub is, it's still slated to be wrapped up around end of summer.
Okay. I'd like to bring something up that's not on the agenda, so do you want me to bring it up at the end of the meeting? It's related to the hub. Or do you want me to bring it up on a report from departments? I think it goes back to, it's a question. I work on some other committees in the city too, and as we've worked on things, we got this hub going up there that's a beautiful facility and been well designed and well planned. But we need a neighborhood group up there that we can talk to about doing things, whether it's bike rides, community walks, going up there and seeing how those things fit or how we get things into the future. We got these 4 healthy neighborhoods. It'd be nice if we could have an advisory group of the people that live up there that will be willing to serve. And as this hub comes forward, I think we could maybe use this as a pilot to see how things like that work. And I'm just tossing something out to talk about. I had a business up there. My kids went to Leopold. My wife founded the Leopold PTO, so maybe I shouldn't have voted on that one either. That was in '94. But anyway, my point is, I think let's use these neighborhoods to help us get more robust as this goes forward. Southdale's another thing. I know people over there, and we got to move over there. That's one of the things Jay Allen was saying. So I just think as we go with this, let's look at some new things as we move forward to encourage more grants, to encourage more engagement from the community, and not just go back to the comment you made that we hear from the food bank every year because they've got needs. Let's see if there are new issues up there. And that's just something I'd like to see us do. And if it doesn't come through here, and I'm looking more at Deanna than I am anybody else, if it doesn't come through here, where does it come through? Because I've checked with Parks and didn't hear much about it from there. Who's going to run that thing up there? So I just tossed that out. I don't know if the rest of you think I'm kind of out there on the fishing line by myself, but I think it can make this committee a good thing to do as we move forward. So thank you.
I think it would.
That's something go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut somebody off.
I think it would be awesome to have a listening session, a neighborhood listening session at the hub when it's open. Just throwing that out there as a result of what you were saying.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Go ahead. Donald, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd be happy to facilitate that conversation with Julia and put it on her radar about potentially forming like an advisory committee or a neighborhood committee of individuals committed to seeing different things go on in that neighborhood. I think it'll be a good idea just to bring some vibrancy once the hub is built and make the individuals who are in that area feel connected to the city and their neighborhood and be excited about the new things in Fitchburg.
And that's up in your district, correct?
No.
Your District 1?
No, I'm District 3.
Oh, I thought you were 1. Okay, sorry.
That would be Dave or Joe.
Okay, thanks.
Just to add to the conversation, we do have we have one neighborhood navigator for the Leopold area.
We do currently have 2 neighborhood navigators. One will be moving though, so we're going to go back to one. And the neighborhood navigators, that program expanded to all of Fitchburg, so they're not solely focused on Leopold anymore. They are providing services to the entire city.
Wait, to clarify, the entire city or just the priority neighborhoods?
The entire city, but their focus is on the healthy neighborhoods.
In that case, I guess we may move to agenda item number 7. Any announcements?
There's the Leopold Tito Fest on Saturday, May 31st. So everybody should come. There's going to be family-friendly events. There's going to be carnival games, food, lots of fun, and lots of community. So be there. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much for that announcement, Ari. Any other topic of discussion for the day? If none, I am open for a motion for adjournment.
So moved to adjourn.
Second.
Anyone in favor, please notify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? In that case, thank you all very much for a lovely evening, and you guys have a beautiful rest of your day.